Welcome to this edition of the Weekly Dose, Challenge Your Perspective. This is Patrick Dare from Washington, D.C. President Uhuru Kenyatta has to succeed. I think he knows that. I think, like every other human being, when you are doubted, you have that drive to prove those that doubt you wrong. And I think that is what will drive President Uhuru to succeed. What will drive him to succeed is that he has to do whatever he has to do to break away from the past history of presidents getting there and doing the total opposite of what it was expected of them. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta knows very well that this election did not go down well with a lot of people. 43% of Kenyans, over 5 million voters, did not vote for him. There's perception and belief, very strongly so, that this election was stolen, that the IEBC manipulated the process in order to tip the ballot for Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. William Ruto. And even after this went to the courts, the many millions who were passionately for the opposition still believe that the courts did not do justice to the democratic process of electing a president. They believe that there's overwhelming evidence that this election was not fair and just. And if for nothing else, Mr. President, I believe that this is going to be your driver. Because of the doubters and because of the divided country, I believe in your heart that is what's going to drive you to bring this country together. Historically, many communities, the larger communities in Kenya, have been alienated. There's this saying jokingly that, for example, Pwani si Kenya. They don't consider themselves Kenyans. Or the Northeast. There's a joke that when they get out of Northeast province, or what used to be the Northeast province, then they get into Kenya. Because these areas have been neglected, administration after administration. I think you're going to break away from that because you have to succeed. I think you have to bring together, and you will do it, all the communities to believe that they're Kenyans, to believe that elections are won and lost, but that does not make us a different people. We are still Kenyans. You must start by the healing process. And that, Mr. President, you're going to do because you're going to be aware of the vultures, and they're out there. The vultures that will come around you and make that fence, their claws sharpened and their beaks ready to bite anybody else that tries to get into that circle or who wants to get a piece of the action. Because they're the rightful owners who brought you to power. They're the rightful owners of TNA, of UDF, of URP, the coalition that brought you to power. Be aware of the vultures, Mr. President, because these are the vultures that come and make sure that the other communities are locked out. that the appointments that president after president makes is top heavy from one particular tribe. We saw it during your father, and I hope you learned the lesson, even though you're young, but you've learned the lesson. You're a political science major. We saw it during the 24 years of President Moi, and we've seen it in the past 10 years of Kibaki, where in some offices and some government areas, an entire meeting could be held in one vernacular. I think you'll succeed because you're going to break away from this. It behooves you to break away from having a top-heavy nomination just from the Kikuyu tribe or from the Kalenjin tribe, because that is the coalition. As a student of history, and Kenya has had a short history, you know that the presidents have been a Kikuyu, a Kalenjin, a Kikuyu, and now you, a Kikuyu. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And in fact, in my belief is that any Kenyan should be a president. You should not have been excluded just because your father was a president, and just because Kibaki from Kikuyu was a president. But you must understand that that perception is what rubs the rest of the majority of Kenyans the wrong way. They believe that they're being locked out. They believe that they're being locked out of opportunities because one of their own has not been a president. We've not had a Luhya president. We've not had a Luo president. We've not had a Giriama, a Pokot, a Mijikenda, somebody from the coast, somebody from the northeast. So these communities feel disenfranchised. And I believe you'll succeed because you know that you'll address that your cabinet that you're about to appoint will reflect that the permanent secretaries that you're about to appoint will reflect that the chairman or the managing directors of the parastatals will reflect that. I know you'll succeed because you are driven to break away from this mold of historic background of top-heavy from one tribe. I know you'll succeed because you want to mend those fences. This past week, you met with the former PM, Mr. Raila Odinga, and the former Vice President, Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka. I think it was a good move. I also understand that you're going to go to Nyanza, but don't stop there. It's not just Nyanza. It's Western, it's the Cumberland, it's the coast, it's the Northeast, it's the Maasai area. It's every corner of Kenya that you must go and visit them and assure them, yes, you're their president. And I know you'll do that because you have to succeed. And we want you to succeed. Mr. President, I know you've talked about the economy. Yes, Kenyans expect that the economy will be good, that you'll make it better. Kenyans expect that you'll have policies that will address the education, which in some people's eyes has been going down. Kenyans expect that you will address unemployment, that you'll have policies that will be business friendly, both internally and for those that are looking to invest in Kenya. People will look to see that you're going to do something about healthcare, that you're going to improve hospitals and dispensaries, and that many Kenyans will access the health care that is so scarce to them. We've seen in the past ministers of health leaving Kenya to go and be treated outside. The question is, what do the rest of Kenyans do when they have the same condition? You must address that, Mr. President. I know you'll succeed because these are things that you're aware of. I know you'll succeed because you're driven to prove everybody wrong. And that being driven, Mr. President, should be clear to everybody that Kenya is moving forward from a very tough time, from a 2007, 2008, where violence broke out, and that the two of you have been accused of masterminding. Nothing has been proven yet. But you must start proving it now, that you have the Kenyans' heart, that you have everybody Kenyan at heart, and everything Kenyan at heart. I know you'll succeed because you're a different generational thinking. And even though there's contentious and doubt everywhere, deep down, I know every Kenyan wants you to succeed. I want you to succeed. Because when all comes down to it, we are a family. We are Kenyans. Kenyans belong to all of us. And Mr. President, this is your time to show Kenya a different direction. The trajectory must move towards the idea of full democracy, of security for everyone, of equality to everyone, of less impunity, of less corruption. You must assure Kenyans that they belong. That although one community or two communities has leadership and are in power, every community belongs. I know you'll succeed because that is the only way out. And Kenyans, even those that did not vote for you, will speak well of you because every Kenyan wants to succeed. This is Patrick Dare bringing you the weekly dose. Challenge your perspective. May God bless you, our President, and may God bless Kenya.